I pushed open the heavy double doors of the gym, the bass of the homecoming music vibrating through the floorboards and up into my sneakers. The air smelled like cheap cologne and sweat, thick with humidity. I scanned the crowd for Kyler, needing to tell him I grabbed the water he asked for. Then I saw him. He was under the purple spinning lights near the bleachers, but he wasn't alone. He was leaning down, his face inches from Sutton, his so-called girl best friend. Before my brain could even process the image, he closed the gap. He kissed her. My hands, which had been wrapped around his just 10 minutes ago, suddenly felt freezing cold. He pulled back sharply, his eyes locking onto mine across the room. The color drained from his face so fast he looked sick. He didn't let go of her hand, though. He just mouthed, "It's not what it looks like," while his fingers were still laced through hers. Before I continue, if you're listening to this, please take a quick second to like the video. Every single like helps push these true stories out to more people who need to hear them. If you enjoy real-life justice stories, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And please, comment your city or state below. I absolutely love seeing how far these stories travel around the world. I turned and stumbled out of the gym, the cold night air hitting my flushed skin like a slap. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a belt around my ribs and pulled it as hard as they could. I heard the heavy gym doors bang open behind me, followed by the frantic slap of dress shoes on concrete. Kyler caught my arm near the parking lot, his breathing jagged. "I was having a panic attack," he blurted out, his eyes wide and desperate. Sutton grabbed me because she was trying to calm me down. She didn't want me freaking out in front of everyone. I stared at him, watching the way he wrung his hands. It was a performance. I realized he had let go of Sutton's hand only when he started running after me. The excuse felt heavy and rehearsed, like he had kept it in his back pocket just in case he got caught. "You kissed her to stop a panic attack?" I asked, my voice sounding hollow and small in the quiet parking lot. He nodded vigorously, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Exactly. You know how she gets. She was just trying to help." I looked at his shoes, unable to look at his face. The next morning, my phone buzzed on my nightstand with a picture from him. It was a selfie from his bedroom, messy hair, half smile, holding a mug of coffee. The caption read, "Morning beautiful, hope you slept okay." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. He was acting like the night before hadn't happened, or worse, like he had successfully explained it away. I sat up in bed, the sheets tangled around my legs, feeling a wave of nausea roll through my stomach. I zoomed in on the photo, looking for clues, looking for guilt, looking for anything that showed he felt bad. There was nothing. Just that practiced, easy charm he used on everyone. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to be the girlfriend who trusted her partner over her own eyes. I typed out a response, then deleted it. Then typed it again. "We need to talk" felt too cliché, but "I know you're lying" felt too final. I settled for silence. I put the phone face down on the mattress. A tiny, pathetic part of me still hoped I had misunderstood the angle, the lighting, or the moment. But deep down, the hope was already dissolving like sugar in hot water. Around 2 p.m., I was sitting at my kitchen table staring at a textbook when my phone lit up with a call from Taryn. She was one of those friends who never called unless it was an emergency. She usually just texted memes. I answered, my throat dry. "Hey," she said, her voice unusually soft. "Look, I didn't want to say anything last night because you were upset, and Kyler was spinning that whole panic attack story." She paused, and I heard her take a breath on the other end. But I was standing by the bleachers, Keely. I saw his hand on her waist. He pulled her in. It wasn't just hand-holding for comfort. He kissed her. The air left my lungs. Hearing it from Taryn made it real in a way that my own memory hadn't. It wasn't just a blur of purple lights anymore, it was a fact witnessed by a third party. Are you sure? I whispered, hatefully hoping she would say maybe. I'm sure, she said firmly. He looked at her like he wanted to be there. That sentence hit me harder than the act itself. It wasn't an accident. It was a choice. I drove to his house an hour later. My hands were shaking against the steering wheel so bad I had to grip it tight just to keep steady. When he opened the door, he tried to hug me, but I stepped back. Taryn saw you pull her in, I said, my voice trembling but loud. Stop lying about the panic attack. Kyler's face shifted instantly. The soft, apologetic boyfriend mask fell off, replaced by something cold and irritated. Your anger is making everything worse, he snapped, crossing his arms over his chest. You always do this. You take one little thing and blow it up until it ruins the whole weekend. I stood on his porch, stunned. He was annoyed. He wasn't sorry, he was inconvenienced. He looked at me like I was a nagging parent rather than the girl whose heart he had just stepped on. I'm not the one who ruined it, I said, fighting back tears that burned the corners of my eyes. You did. He rolled his eyes, actually rolled them, and leaned against the doorframe. If you're going to be irrational, just go home. I can't deal with this drama right now. That night, alone in my room, my phone pinged with a text from him. No apology for the porch argument. Instead, he wrote, Babe, weird question. Have you seen that silver chain you gave me? I think I lost it. I stared at the message, confused. He wore that necklace every single day. It was a silver curb chain I'd saved up 3 paychecks to buy him for our anniversary. When did you lose it? I texted back. I think 2 days ago, he replied. I took it off in the restroom at school to wash my face and I think I left it on the counter. I did the math in my head. 2 days ago. That meant he had lost it well before the dance. He had seen me, talked to me, held my hand, and kissed another girl, all while knowing he had lost the most sentimental thing I'd ever given him, and he hadn't said a word until now. It wasn't just about the jewelry. It was the omission. He was hiding things from me effortlessly. If he could hide losing the necklace for 48 hours, what else was he hiding? The suspicion started to crawl under my skin. How does a necklace vanish from a zipped backpack? I asked him the next day at school. We were standing by the lockers, the hallway loud with students rushing to class. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He was tapping his fingers nervously against the metal locker door, a rhythm that didn't match the casual shrug he gave me. I don't know, Keely. Things get stolen. It happens. He looked over my shoulder, scanning the crowd, his leg bouncing. I realized then that he wasn't sad about losing the gift. He was scared. But he wasn't scared of losing me or hurting my feelings. He was scared of being caught in a lie. The necklace hadn't been stolen. He knew exactly where it was, or at least, he knew who he was with when it disappeared. The panic attack story was a cover for the kiss, and the stolen necklace story was a cover for something else. He looked trapped, like a kid who broke a vase and was trying to glue it back together before Mom got home. You're lying, I said simply. He flinched, finally looking at me. I'm not. You're being crazy. I walked away from him and found my group of friends at lunch. I didn't want to eat, but I needed to sit down. He lost the necklace, I told them, staring at my unopened yogurt. And he's acting weird about it. Sarah, who sat across from me, exchanged a look with Taryn. Okay, we didn't want to say this before, Sarah started, peeling an orange with aggressive focus. But you know how Sutton and him are always together in third period. I see them sharing food all the time. Like, he eats off her fork. And they have these inside jokes, Taryn added quietly. They whisper in the back of the class. I thought it was just them being close friends, but after the dance, looking back, it was weird. Too comfortable. Every tiny moment I had brushed aside for months came flooding back. The way he texted her when we were watching movies. The way she adjusted his collar at the football game. I had forced myself to be the cool girlfriend who didn't get jealous. I felt stupid. I had let them date right in front of my face and called it friendship. Later that afternoon, I had biology with Sutton. I walked in, dread pooling in my stomach. She was sitting at her lab table, wearing a sweater that looked vaguely familiar. When she saw me, she beamed. "Hey Keely. I love those boots," she chirped, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Did you get them at the mall?" I stared at her, trying to reconcile this friendly, bubbly girl with the person who had her tongue down my boyfriend's throat 48 hours ago. "Thanks," I mumbled, sliding into my seat. She kept smiling, asking about the homework, asking if Kyler was feeling better after his panic attack. It felt disgusting. She wasn't just a stranger stealing him away, she was smiling at me, pretending to be my friend, while knowing exactly what she was doing behind my back. It was a double betrayal. It twisted deeper than the cheating itself because it felt like they were laughing at me. Like I was the punchline to a joke I didn't know was being told. I gripped my pencil so hard the wood creaked. She knew. She knew everything, and she didn't care at all. I went home and laid on my floor, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily. I needed him to say it. I needed the truth more than I needed the relationship. I pulled out my phone and typed a text to Kyler. "I need you to be honest. Did anything else happen with her? Before the dance? After? Anything?" I hit send and watched the bubbles appear instantly. He didn't even take time to think. Nothing. I swear on my life, Keely. It was just my anxiety. Stop listening to people who want to start drama. The speed of the reply made my gut scream. If he had nothing to hide, he would have paused. He would have asked why I was asking. Instead, he denied it like a reflex. It was a preloaded answer. He was lying. I could feel it in my bones. The trust wasn't just broken, it was pulverized. He was fighting for his narrative, not for us. I realized he thought he could just wait me out, that if he denied it long enough, I would get tired and just accept his version of reality. He underestimated how stubborn pain makes you. Taryn texted me an hour later. "I couldn't take it anymore," she wrote. "I cornered Sutton in the bathroom after practice. My heart hammered against my ribs." Taryn was fierce, the kind of friend who didn't mind burning bridges if it meant getting answers. "What did she say?" I typed back, my fingers slipping on the glass screen. The 3 dots waved for what felt like an eternity. Finally, the message popped up. She tried to play dumb at first. But I told her everyone saw it. Then she got quiet and said, "He kissed me first. It's been happening for weeks." I dropped the phone on the carpet. The words, "happening for weeks," echoed in the silence of my bedroom. It wasn't a one-time slip-up. It wasn't a moment of weakness under the homecoming lights. It was a relationship. A full, hidden relationship running parallel to ours. Whatever denial I had been clinging to, the tiny hope that maybe it was just a mistake, shattered completely. I felt lightheaded. Weeks. They had been lying to my face for weeks. I didn't call him. I drove over there again. This time, I didn't shake. I felt cold and sharp. When he came to the door, I didn't wait for him to speak. "Sutton told Taryn everything," I said, my voice dead flat. "She said you kissed her first. She said it's been weeks." Kyler froze. For a second, I saw the panic, real panic, flash in his eyes. Then the defense mechanism slammed into place. "She's lying," he said, his voice rising in pitch. "She's confused. She's just being overly dramatic because I rejected her. I watched him spiral. First he blamed her confusion. Then he blamed her drama. Then he blamed the stress of school. He blamed the dance. He blamed Taryn for meddling. He blamed me for not trusting him. He threw every single person under the bus except himself. His guilt was a suffocating blanket that he was trying to throw over everyone else's head. Stop, I said, holding up a hand. Just stop. I realized then that I would never get the truth from him. He was incapable of it. He would lie until the world ended just to save his own skin. I walked back to my car and drove home in silence. I didn't block him, but I stopped responding. He sent 10 texts in a row, ranging from angry to begging to accusing. I read them all from the notification screen, but I didn't open a single one. For the first time in months, the silence felt empowering. I sat on my bed and let my mind replay the last 2 months. I replayed every canceled date, every time his phone was face down, every time he smelled like a perfume that wasn't mine. It was like stepping out of a thick, gray fog. The signs had been there the entire time, glowing neon red, but I had closed my eyes because I wanted to be happy. Now, with my eyes wide open, the picture was crystal clear. I wasn't losing a boyfriend. I was losing a liability. The tears finally stopped. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt something else entirely. I felt focused. He thought he could spin this. He thought he could talk his way out of it like he always did. He was wrong. I spent the next day watching his social media from a burner account. He was posting sad songs, quotes about loyalty, and vague statuses about how people switch up on you. It was fascinating. He was already building a narrative where he was the victim. He cared more about controlling what other people thought than he cared about the fact that he had decimated our relationship. He wasn't trying to fix us, he was trying to fix his image. That realization told me exactly where to aim. If I keyed his car or screamed at him in the hallway, I would look like the crazy ex he was already painting me to be. That would only help him. No. To hurt him, to really make him feel the weight of what he did, I had to target the one thing he actually loved, his reputation. I needed to be quiet. I needed to be legal. And I needed to be devastatingly honest. He wanted a story. Fine. I would give him the truth, and I would make sure it was bulletproof. I opened my laptop and started a folder. I went through months of messages. I found the texts where he claimed he was studying on the night Sutton said they were together. I screenshot the timestamps. I screenshot his message about the panic attack. I screenshot Taryn's text relaying Sutton's confession. I even found a photo from 3 weeks ago where you could see the edge of Sutton's backpack in the corner of his room, something I had missed before. I gathered the contradictions, the lies about the necklace, the gaslighting responses where he called me crazy for suspecting the very thing he was doing. I wasn't going to blast this on Instagram. That was messy. I was gathering ammunition to make sure that when he tried to lie to our mutual friends, I could shut it down instantly. Evidence was my power now. He relied on, he said, she said. I was bringing receipts. It felt clinical, almost cold, but it gave me a sense of control I hadn't felt in weeks. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the archivist of his downfall. Once I had everything organized, I drafted a text. I didn't send it right away. I edited it until there was zero emotion in it. No, I hate you, no, how could you? Just facts. Kyler, I know about you and Sutton. I have the confirmation from her, and I have the timestamps that prove you lied about Tuesday, Friday, and the night of the dance. I know you lost the necklace while you were with her. We are done. Do not contact me again. I hit send. I watched the phone. His response came in frantic, jagged bursts. Keely, wait. It's not like that. Don't tell anyone. Please let me explain. You're going to make me look bad if you tell people. There it was. Make me look bad. Even in his panic, his priority was how he looked. He didn't beg for my heart. He begged for my silence. It was pathetic. It validated everything I was doing. He was terrified of the truth, which meant the truth was the perfect weapon. I didn't reply to his begging. Instead, I reached out to the 3 friends we shared, the ones he would inevitably try to manipulate. I asked them to meet me for coffee, individually. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just said, I know Kyler is going to tell you a version of what happened. I just want you to see this so you know why I'm stepping away. I showed them the screenshots. I showed them the timeline. I didn't ask them to hate him. I didn't ask them to choose sides. I just put the truth on the table and let it breathe. Their reactions were all the same, shock, followed by disappointment. They knew Kyler. They knew he could be slippery. But seeing the hard evidence made it impossible to defend him. Watching his web of lies crumble without me even raising my voice was quietly, deeply satisfying. I didn't have to fight him. I just had to turn on the lights. He had done all the damage to himself, I just stopped covering for him. With every day that passed, the distance gave me more perspective. Kyler's entire strategy relied on confusion. He thrived in the gray areas, in the, I don't know what you're talking about, and the, you're imagining things. He used emotional fog to keep me unbalanced so he could control the story. My clarity was the one thing he hadn't planned for. He expected me to be a mess, crying in my room, too weak to advocate for myself. He didn't expect me to be methodical. He didn't expect me to treat our breakup like a court case. My clarity was the revenge he never saw coming. And honestly, it was about to get sharper. I realized I still had a box of his things in my closet, hoodies, video games, a few books. Usually, returning things is a sad ritual. For me, it felt like a tactical move. It was the final step in clearing the fog. I packed everything neatly into a cardboard box. I folded his hoodies. I stacked the games. I made it look precise, not thrown together in anger. On top of the pile, I placed a white envelope. Inside, I wrote a single note on a piece of cardstock. Please return my necklace when you find it. I know exactly where you left it. I sealed it and drove to his house while he was at soccer practice. I left the box on his front porch. I didn't ring the doorbell. Later, I heard from a friend that when he opened the box and read the note, his face went pale white. He knew. That single sentence told him that I knew more than just the basics. It told him I knew the details, the locations, the extent of the lie. It stripped away any comfort he had that maybe I only knew part of the story. The psychological weight of that note was heavier than any brick I could have thrown through his window. School was awkward for a few days, but I held my head up. When people asked why we broke up, because people always ask, I didn't launch into a dramatic monologue. I didn't call him names. I simply said, he wasn't loyal. That was it. 3 words. No embellishments. No drama. He wasn't loyal. The simplicity of it was devastating. It left no room for argument. It didn't sound like a crazy ex-girlfriend ranting, it sounded like a fact. And because I was so calm about it, people believed me instantly. If I had made a scene, people might have thought there were 2 sides. But my silence made his guilt loud. The story spread faster than any rumor he tried to invent. I watched from across the cafeteria as he tried to laugh with his guys, but the vibe was off. His reputation began to fracture, hairline cracks spreading through the image he loved so much. The fallout hit Sutton next. I hadn't said a word to her, but Kyler had. In his desperate attempt to save face with his guy friends, he had started blaming her more aggressively. He told people she was obsessed with him, that she forced the kiss, that she was the one ruining his life. Word got back to Sutton within 24 hours. She realized that the boy she had betrayed me for was now throwing her to the wolves to save himself. Her friendship with him dissolved overnight. It was cold and swift. She deleted him off social media. She moved seats in biology. I watched them ignore each other in the hallway, two people who had destroyed a relationship to be together, now unable to even look at one another. It was indirect revenge, sure, but seeing them turn on each other was deeply earned. They deserved the isolation they had created. A week later, my phone buzzed late at night. It was Kyler. "I really wish things didn't have to get this messy," he texted. I stared at the screen, a dry laugh bubbling up in my throat. The irony was incredible. He was the one who cheated. He was the one who lied about panic attacks. He was the one who lost my necklace. He was the one who blamed everyone else. He created the mess. He created the hurricane and was now complaining about the rain. I realized he was only texting me because he felt the walls closing in. He wanted me to absolve him, to tell him it wasn't that bad, so he could sleep at night. I didn't give him that satisfaction. I simply deleted the thread. I stopped cleaning up after him. Letting him sit in his own mess was the only way he would ever feel the consequences. Weeks passed. The drama faded, as high school drama always does, but the dynamic had changed permanently. I heard through friends that Kyler was mostly alone now. He didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have a girl best friend. He didn't have his usual group of defenders. People still hung out with him, but there was a distance. People avoided getting too close because, as one guy put it, you never know what story he'll tell about you if things go south. His own patterns had finally caught up with him. He had spent so much time curating his image that he forgot to curate his character. Now that the image was cracked, there was nothing underneath to support him. He walked through the halls with his head down, the charm finally worn off. It was a lonely kind of justice, but it fit him perfectly. I stopped checking his social media. I stopped looking for the necklace. I focused entirely on myself. I poured my energy back into my schoolwork, my art, and hanging out with Taryn and Sarah. The space Kyler once filled, the space that was constantly filled with doubt, anxiety, and the need to manage his emotions, was now calm. It was quiet. At first, the quiet felt lonely, but soon it felt like peace. I started sleeping through the night again. I realized I didn't miss him, I missed the idea of him. The real him was exhausting. I realized that revenge didn't have to be loud to be powerful. The best revenge wasn't making him suffer, it was showing him, through my happiness, that he wasn't necessary. I was doing better without him than I ever was with him. That was the sting that would last. Looking back now, I realized that the night at the gym wasn't a tragedy. It was an exit ramp. Betrayal doesn't destroy you, even though it feels like it will in the moment. It reveals who someone truly is and frees you from who they pretended to be. If he hadn't kissed her under those lights, I might still be wasting my time on a liar. The truth became my justice, and my silence became my closure. I kept my dignity, I kept my friends, and I regained my self-respect. He lost everything that mattered. If you've ever been through something like this, if you've ever had your trust broken by the people closest to you, just know you aren't alone. It gets better. Thank you for listening to my story. If you'd like to hear more true stories, feel free to like, subscribe, and stick around. We're in this together.